So to take us through this presentation is Mr. Paul Famba, who is the Commission Secretary and CEO of the Public Service Commission. Mr. Paul Famba was appointed to serve in the Public Service Commission as CEO in August 2024, and he's a career public servant with 29 years of experience. He previously served as Secretary of Administration and the Ministry of Interior. He holds a Master's in Peace and Conflict Management from Kenyatta University and a BA from the University of Nairobi. Members, ladies and gentlemen, let us appreciate our speaker, Mr. Paul Famba, as he walks to the podium to make the presentation. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
All right.
Yes. Hiyo kitu inafanya kazi. Imeenda vipi? All right. Thank you so much, the chair of ICS Council, the council members, distinguished participants. Good afternoon. It is a pleasure for me to be here. In as much as I'm coming in late, I was here by 2. I think I made it. I think 20 minutes to 2 I was here, ready for my presentation at 2 p.m. But unfortunately, I think your program had been disrupted at some level, so it had to drag on up to now. But here we are. They say better late, and then we are in Africa. We are in Africa, and in Africa, we'll always have challenges with the time. Like you have been told, I work for the Public Service Commission as the CEO. I joined the Public Service Commission in August of last year. So I'm doing about 8 months now. So I'm not new at the Public Service Commission. And if I have not settled up to now, then it means I can never be able to settle. So I want to confirm that I've settled, and if I'm making my mistakes, then they are my mistakes. I'm not going to blame anybody else. And I'm not going to have an excuse that, you know, I'm a new person, you know, I'm settling in. No. Right now, I must know what I ought to do. And if I'm not doing it right, then I'm making mistakes, and I should be answerable for those mistakes. So, ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon we want to talk about enhancing organizational excellence through recruitment. And I want to actually mention that the theme of this year's conference is spot on. Ethical leadership and good governance, restoring trust, renewing morals, securing the future. That theme is spot on. That is what we require as a country right now. If we were just to adopt that, ethical leadership, good governance, that alone is going to help us in restoring the trust, renewing morals, and securing the future of our country. And the challenges we are having with the JNCs are going to be addressed. Because if we don't do that, JNCs are going to run us out of town. I can assure you that. They don't care. Even if you come with big guns and bullets, they will still march on. So we have to change and do the right thing. That is the outline of my presentation. We are going to have the introduction, assessing staffing needs, recruitment and performance, right to the conclusion. And then now, like I've told you about the introduction, talking about organizational excellence. A state of remarkable performance in all aspects of an organization, including its people, its culture, leadership, strategy, and processes. Organizational excellence. It is a state of continuous improvement where an organization strives for excellence in everything it does, everything, and where every member of the organization is committing to achieving excellence, to satisfy and exceed stakeholders' expectations. And when you are thinking about organizational excellence, it is important that you strive to carry everyone on board. Everyone, every member of that organization must be part of this process. So that when somebody comes into your organization, right from the reception, that receptionist at the entrance knows and understands the mission of your organization. And you start feeling that you have arrived right from the gate, that yes, this is a great organization and this is where I ought to be. And then now there is the question of enhancing organizational excellence is critical for any institution. Human capital represents the most vital resource for organizational productivity and a long-term competitive advantage. It is not about the infrastructure that you have. It is not about the big cars, the beautiful building, the beautiful furniture. It is about the people, the human beings that you have. That is what is going to make a difference in your organization. Others strive to have beautiful buildings, beautiful headquarters. You want to say, yes, we have arrived. But without the right people, you are nothing, and you are not going to achieve anything. So invest in people. And I'm not saying the infrastructure is not good, but start with the key thing, the people. Once you are done with that, then you can do the other things. You can also handle that. In today's knowledge economy, talented employees, particularly those capable of driving organizational success, constitute a critical asset. Recruitment and selection is therefore a critical process in achieving organizational excellence. Recruitment and selection. We are saying it's a critical process in achieving organizational excellence because recruitment and selection gives you the right people. The people that you require. People with the competencies, people with the skills, and the people with the attitude that are going to drive your organization to excellence. However, before recruitment and selection is done, the organization must assess the needs to determine who to recruit. I'm sure you have often heard of the needs assessment. You need to really be sure. What is it? What is your mandate? What is it? What type of skills do you require? Once you have done that, that is when you now think, then whom do I need? So we are talking of assessing staffing needs for performance. Assess the optimal staffing levels necessary for discharge of a mandate. Specifically, the skills and competencies required. What are those skills that you require? The number of employees required based on a functional and workload analysis. Then you have the grading structure, the terms of engagement for employees. Plan within the available budgeted funds for the recruitment, retention, deployment, development of human resources according to the institution's requirements. That is development of human resources according to the institution's requirements and develop a career progression and succession management strategy. Each member of staff must know the path of their growth. Somebody should know that today I might be a subordinate staff, but if I work hard, improve my skills, I could also rise to be the CEO of this organization by preparing myself properly. With that, an officer is motivated to work hard. They are even motivated to go back to school and acquire the relevant skills, the skills required for career growth. Now, optimal staffing is expected to ensure that an organization has the right people in the right place or places at the right time. ensuring delivery is not just a matter of having good staff, but also ensuring that the staff have the right attitude, suitable competency or competencies, skill, and experience to deliver on citizens' expectations. That is critical. That is critical for any organization. And then now when we go to recruitment and selection, for us, recruitment is locating candidates interested in work and persuading them to submit job applications within the organization. Then the selection process refers to the methods used to screen applicants and choose the most qualified ones for open positions. Hiring is an investment of time and money. Hiring the wrong person, therefore, is a huge time and energy drain and legal headache if things go wrong. When you hire the wrong persons, you are disabling the organization. You are making the organization inefficient. That organization cannot grow. And it is unfortunate that we at times hire the wrong persons, leaving the right persons out there. You leave out people with the skills and competencies, but you give somebody a job because they are your relative, because you come from the same community with them, yet they don't have the competencies to deliver on that team, in that organization. So ensure you get the right people for the job. And we always talk about that. Do we have the right people for the job? When you look at the organizations that you represent, are you satisfied that you have the right people for the job? If you are not, then what are we doing about it? Because if we place the wrong people in critical positions, then we are setting ourselves up to fail as an organization. And when the organization fails because of one person, you will not be able to pick out the person who failed the organization. All of you would have failed. Your organization, bure kabisa. It cannot make an achievement. Yet it is one or two critical people you brought on board. They are not bad people. It is only that they could be qualified to do something else. Yeah. But they are wrongly deployed. That is not their place. Yeah. Organizations, therefore, strive to ensure optimal staffing levels all the time to ensure operational efficiency and effectiveness. Numerous scholars have tried to analyze intersectionality of recruitment and organizational excellence. For instance, we have Abu Mogli, 2015, examined the relationship between recruitment and selection practices and the achievement of institutional excellence. Major finding was that there is a statistically significant effect of recruitment and selection functions on achieving institutional excellence. And recommendation, give high priority to recruitment and selection functions, including the use of personal abilities and tendencies tests. The author argues that recruiting competent individuals contributes to improved performance and the achievement of institutional excellence. Just go for the best of the best, and your organization is going to grow. We have that other author with a tough name, Maita et al., 2020, examined the impact of staffing strategies on organizational excellence within the context of private companies in Jordan that had received the King Abdullah II Award for Excellence. And the major finding there was a positive relationship exists between staffing strategy, recruitment, selection, and placement, and organizational excellence. Now the recommendation. The paper suggests that organizations should pay close attention to their staffing strategies to hire the right people for the right positions, ultimately leading to organizational excellence. In a nutshell, research shows that there is a positive correlation between the strategies used to hire and promote employees and their subsequent work performance. when employees are convinced that the process of recruitment, the process of promotion is transparent, they are highly motivated. They give their best. But in an environment where there is lack of transparency, there is lack of openness, I can assure you that employees are not motivated. And when they are not motivated, they underperform. They underperform. So you can see the correlation is real, and we need to focus on that. Now, Article 232 of the Constitution on the values and principles of public service guides recruitment process. These legal frameworks mandate that recruitment and appointment processes adhere to principles such as meritocracy, fairness and equity, transparency and accountability, diversity and inclusion. This is what guides the Public Service Commission. It is constitutional. It is not just a suggestion. It is something we are under obligation to comply. So it is this Public Service Commission that must ensure that there is meritocracy in recruitment by ensuring that the most qualified candidates are selected. Fairness and equity, providing equal opportunity to all applicants. Transparency and accountability, making the process open to scrutiny and answerable to stakeholders. Diversity and inclusion, reflecting the composition of the population in the workforce. The Public Service Commission is obligated to uphold these principles and ensure that our processes are legally sound and defensible. And if we don't do this, anybody in this country, any citizen of this country, can go to court to compel us to do this. So we have no choice. We must comply. And when citizens notice that we are not complying with this, they will rise up against us. Strengthening recruitment and appointment processes. Basic steps. To enhance organizational excellence, we must go beyond simply complying with the law. We need to adopt proactive and innovative approaches. And number one, we look at job analysis and competency frameworks. Conduct thorough job analysis to identify the essential knowledge, skills, and abilities. And abilities required for each position. Develop competency frameworks that outline the behaviors and attributes that contribute to successful performance. And then now this ensures that recruitment is targeted and focused on the right criteria. Number two, strategic workforce planning. Anticipate future workforce needs based on organizational goals, demographic trends, and technological advancements. Develop recruitment strategies that align with these projections. This prevents skills gaps and ensures that the organization has the talent it needs to achieve its objectives. Then there is use of technology. The previous speaker just indicated a few years ago how we were queuing to pay our bills. Now we are paying our bills from the bedrooms. Technology has really changed. I can also tell you that these days, even when we advertise jobs as the Public Service Commission, you don't have to submit a hard copy. You can apply from the comfort of your bedroom, and it is possible that we can also have a virtual interview with you. Technology is taking us places. In as much as we have not been able to fully embrace it, but that is the direction all of us should be taking. So use of technology, implement modern technologies that streamline the recruitment processes, such as online application portals, applicant tracking systems, and video conferencing for interviews. Ensure that technology is used to enhance efficiency and fairness, not to create barriers. continuous improvement, regularly evaluate the effectiveness of recruitment processes and identify areas for improvement, seek feedback from candidates, hiring managers and other stakeholders, adopt a culture of continuous learning and adaptations. Then we also want to strengthen partnerships, collaborate with the training institutions, professional associations, and other organizations to build a pipeline of qualified candidates, engage with universities and colleges to attract graduates. I think while we are still here, I just wanted to indicate that these are some of the most important things that we need to do as an organization to be able to work with everyone, to be able to even appeal to the young generation. Issues of employment have become quite emotive in this country because of the high level of unemployment. Very high level of unemployment in this country, very high level. And people are willing to do anything to get a job. These days, we advertise, say 10 vacancies, and we receive 10,000 applications. And I can assure you, all the 10,000 are qualified. Because for jobs that require basic academic qualifications, who doesn't qualify? In this country these days, it is like everyone has a university degree. Everyone, literally everyone has a university degree. Especially when the job requirement is a basic university degree, you will be shocked at the numbers that will apply. Eventually, through these rigorous recruitment processes, you are able to get the 10 out of the 10,000. I can assure you that the 9,910 would want to kill you because they were left out. Recently, let me give you a classic case. When we advertised for the position of principal secretary, I'm sure some of you applied for those positions. Some of you were lucky to be shortlisted and even interviewed. I'm sure those who got the job are not here. Yeah. But among those ones, some were interviewed and they got the job. I can assure you that those people who applied and were not shortlisted were very annoyed. There is a professor who called me and told me that, how come I wasn't shortlisted and I'm a whole professor? What type of academic qualifications were you looking for? If a professor cannot be shortlisted, he was telling me that leave alone the issue of being interviewed. Yeah. You can interview me and fail me. But when you are looking at my papers, vile nimesoma hivi, unasema kabisa siwezi. But I actually requested the professor to come over to the commission, so that because he was very agitated. Yeah. I told him, why don't you come, we have a cup of tea. We don't have to fight. So when he came and I explained to him how the process is done, and I asked him where he comes from. And we looked at the whole process, and I told him, now you can see where you come from. This is the person we picked, not you. Yeah? And it is because of 1, 2, 3 that we considered him, but we left you out. But it doesn't mean that you are not qualified. So when you are able to go out of your way to explain some processes, you should have justification for what you are doing. You must have a basis of what you are doing. If you do not have a basis, you would not want to face that person because you don't know what to tell them. Because you could be engaging in irrational practices. But when you sit down and you explain, people will understand when you are objective. So recruitment is not easy. People, especially who don't get the jobs, will feel very bad. Those others who get the jobs will be celebrating. And in this country, when you get a job, you will always be asked how much you paid to get the job. Isn't that true? I remember someone asked me when I was appointed the CEO of the Public Service Commission. I was asked how much I paid, and somebody was thinking I had paid 10 million to get the job. Then I was wondering, for sure, if I have 10 million, then do I need this job? Can I do something else with the 10 million? Yeah? That, are you sure kabisa hukulipa hii kitu? Si tunasikia kila mtu anasema. It is incumbent upon all of us to fight that type of corruption. And that is what I've committed to do at the Public Service Commission. I want to make a difference, even if I don't achieve anything else. If I'm able, by the time I'm done with my term, to have changed that perception of corruption, I will be very happy. I will be very happy. I want us to be able to put the right people in the right places. And I want us to slay the menace of corruption at the commission. Right now, in fact, young men believe that they are not getting jobs because there is corruption. At times, they might not even want to understand that the vacancies are fewer. The vacancies are not there. It is not the business of the commission to grow the economy. We have government departments whose main mission is to grow the economy of this country, to expand opportunities for everyone. So, ladies and gentlemen, you, from wherever you are, have a responsibility to do your bit. Let's all rise up and make a difference in this country. Implementing fair and transparent selection mechanisms. Fairness and transparency are essential for maintaining the credibility of the recruitment process and attracting the best candidates. The following is proposed. Number one, standardized procedures. Develop clear written procedures for every stage of the recruitment process, from declaration of a vacancy or vacancies to making appointments. Ensure that all staff involved in recruitment are trained on these procedures. Objective assessment methods. Use a variety of methods to evaluate candidates, e.g. structured interviews using predetermined questions and scoring rubrics, written tests assessing job-related knowledge and skills, and then work samples or simulations evaluating practical abilities. And then you have multiple evaluators. Involve more than one person in the evaluation process to reduce subjectivity and ensure a balanced assessment. That is why, for those of you who have attended interviews, you always see a panel, not an individual interviewing you. A panel of persons seated on a table and all of them asking you questions and each one scoring you independently, so that we look at the average. We look at what each person has given. Otherwise, one person doing it on their own could easily be subjective. Blind reviewing. Implement blind reviewing, anonymization in the initial stages of screening applications where feasible by use of codes. That is something the Commission is considering seriously. Can I be allowed to take a sip of water? Please. That blind reviewing is something that I'm very passionate about. Blind reviewing, this one, we want it when somebody applies for a job, you give them a code so that you don't use their name. You know, in this country, we've become so tribal. So that if I see the name Wambua, najua huyu ni Mukamba. And I could be having vendetta with Wakamba. If I see the name Kiblagat, I just know this one is Kalenjin. If I see the name Kamau, so we want to change that so that we have codes, so that these names just come out at the last, at the tail end. Wakati tumemaliza code this, that is when we put the name. That is when we realize, oh, so huyu ni Kamau, so huyu ni Wambua. That one is going to help us, because I know in this country we have suffered a lot from nepotism. We need to move away from that. And people have to be bold enough to make that decision. I know this is something that is going to be resisted by people who want to see certain names. You know, in this country, people are not tribal because they want a certain person. It is only that they are attached to their ethnic group. And that person they are attached to is not even somebody known to them. Ni mtu tu, mtu wetu. Ni Njoroge. Hii ni jina Njoroge, kwa nini unataka kutupa jina Njoroge? You see, just that attachment. Not because they know each other. Not because they know each other. You are even leaving out somebody whom you know, but because they are from a different ethnic community. So we are seriously thinking about blind reviewing. Implement a blind reviewing and anonymization in the initial stages of screening applications where feasible by use of codes. And then remove identifying information such as names and sometimes even the institutions attended from application materials before reviewers assess them. This can significantly reduce unconscious bias. You know, this bias is unconscious because you are not putting in somebody who is your friend. Lakini huko naangalia tu, huyu mtu hata anatoka kwetu. Anatoka karibu na kwetu. Unasema hata ni afadhali unajua anatoka to the neighboring county. Yeah? We need to do that. This can significantly reduce unconscious bias and ensure that candidates are evaluated solely on their qualifications and experience. Solely on their qualifications and experience. And that is what would enable this country put the right people at the right places. Because you will just be looking at the qualifications and the experience. But otherwise, we are looking at other things that have nothing to do with the job at hand. Documentation and record keeping. Maintain detailed records of every stage of the recruitment process, including applications, assessment results, and selection decisions. This documentation provides an audit trail and demonstrates accountability. Demonstrates accountability because these are records that should be accessible to any person whenever they request. Communication with the candidates. Provide timely and informative communication to all candidates throughout the recruitment process. Offer constructive feedback to unsuccessful candidates whenever possible. And then there is also need for independent oversight. Establish mechanisms for independent oversight or audit of the recruitment process to ensure compliance with policies and procedures. This could involve internal audits or external reviews. Now, everything has its strengths and challenges. Key strengths and challenges of merit-based recruitment in public sector. The key strengths can be seen. This transparency, effective public vacancy announcements, increase transparency and broaden the pool of potential applicants. Number 2, credibility. Written tests increase the transparency and credibility of the selection process. Competent selection commissions are essential for ensuring political impartiality and objectivity in the recruitment process. Integrity. Meritocratic recruitment is associated with the lower corruption. Effectiveness, e-recruitment mechanisms and social media tools have improved the application process and have the potential to further strengthen merit recruitment. And then now, challenges are always there. Politicization, particularly political discretion in the appointment phase, can override the principle of merit. And then diversity management. Merit systems can also disadvantage certain segments of society and may conflict with ethnic representativeness and fail to produce gender equity. And then the cost. The adoption of merit-based recruitment procedures can be burdensome and costly, involving many steps before an external advertisement is approved. So like I've said, every good thing also has its downside. Now, in conclusion, recruitment is not merely a technical exercise. It is a strategic function that has a profound impact on organization excellence. When you get it right at recruitment, your organization is going to thrive. Your organization is going to prosper. To enhance organizational excellence, we must go beyond simply complying with the law. We must adopt proactive and innovative approaches to navigate the dynamic recruitment landscape. Public Service Commission plays a vital role in building a competent, motivated, and diverse workforce that can serve the needs of our citizens effectively. Now, our call to action is to commit to continuous improvement in our recruitment practices, guided by ethics, and to share best practices with one another. Thank you. Basi, wacha mimi nikome hapo, madam.
Asante sana. You can take a seat here. Yes. And thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. I think you have concluded it very well, that recruitment is not a technical exercise, it is a strategic function.